there's a story of this young Nigerian in the 70s, 1971, if I want to be particular. His name is Mudashiru Ayeni. My pronunciation might not be correct, but this young man, he invented what was like an AI then, like a robot, like it was like an office assistant or thereabout. He just does the work of an office assistant. He did this in the 70s, in the early 70s. And do you know what happened? They taught him to be a mad person and they sent him to the psychiatry. But today we are doing there is robotics everywhere, there is AI and everything is just everywhere now. But back in those days, this guy was sent to a psychiatric hospital to be evaluated. But there was nothing wrong with him. It's just that the environment he found himself, was filled with a lot of people who had a lot of people in power who had low self-esteem, who wanted foreign validation and all those kind of nonsense. So till today we still have those kind of people in power. Until today there are still kids who try to do some things and they just kill their dreams. Some kids who can, contribute to digitalizing Nigeria, to making things, advanced things in Nigeria. There has been a lot of stories. You are familiar with them. I don't need to start listing them. You understand? So, a Nigerian will create something extraordinary. Nobody will pay attention. Years will pass. Then one day, a foreign organization will recognize it. A foreign newspaper will write about it. A foreign celebrity, will mention it, and suddenly everybody becomes interested. Now it is valuable. Now it is important. Now it is worth celebrating. Why? Because many Nigerians have been conditioned to trust foreign validation more than their own judgment. Yes, we trust foreign validation more than our own judgment. And once you notice it, you see it everywhere. A Nigerian artist becomes, globally famous. Only then do many people begin to, take them seriously. Fela has been there for years, and many people disrespect Fela. You want to be comparing Fela to Wizkid until he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. They gave him Grammy. There's the way they call the award yet. When they gave him the award, and many people say, no be small person. Until a foreigner recognizes your own legend, that is when you think your legend is a legend. So, it's just like that. A local business will struggle for years, then it gets, featured internationally. Suddenly, customers start paying attention. A Nigerian scientist makes a breakthrough, and few people will notice. But if foreign institution endorses it, the story changes. You understand? It's as if many Nigerians are waiting for someone outside the country to tell them what they deserve to respect, what deserves to be respected. You understand? It's like we're waiting for them to tell us, respect this one, don't respect this one, respect this one, don't respect this one. And that raises a very uncomfortable question. Why do we trust outsiders so much when evaluating ourselves? Part of the answer lies in history. For generations, colonial system taught people that authority came from elsewhere. Knowledge came from elsewhere. Standard came from elsewhere. Legitimacy came from elsewhere. The center of validation was always outside. And even after colonialism, formally ended, many of those psychological habits remained. They became very psychological. It's just something that is now ingrained in us. Nobody's forcing us to do it again. We are doing it on autopilot. You understand? And that is why foreign accents often commands instant respect. When you're like, "Yo, mate, how are you? Okay?" People will be like, "Wow, who's this person?" Imported products are sometimes assumed to be better. When in Aba, we can do some very crazy shit, some crazy dope shit in Aba. In Kano, they can do some very mature stuff. Go there and check the fabrics out, and in many parts of Nigeria where people are doing things, people proudly announce that a relative lives in abroad. When somebody lives in abroad, it's now a flex. You are running from your home, and another place is now like better than your place, your own home, your motherland. You understand? You call another land holy land, you go there for pilgrimage, but your own land is what? Unholy. So the word international automatically sounds impressive because in many people's mind, foreignness became associated with quality. Not because foreign things are always better, but because people link prestige to distance. People link prestige to distance. The farther something is from home, the more valuable it seems. And this mindset affects just more than economy. It affects identity, and think about how think about how often people seek approval from outside before trusting what is already theirs. You understand? Local food becomes exciting when foreigner praise it. If a white man is eating fufu and egusi soup and he's saying it's good, that's when you begin to say, proudly Nigerian to the world. All those kind of public display of low self-esteem. And local fashion becomes prestigious when international celebrities wear it. Local culture becomes worthy when foreign media celebrates it. Why do we need someone else's approval to appreciate our own value? That question goes beyond Nigeria, but in Nigeria it carries special weight because this country is filled with talent, creativity, innovation, resilience. Yet many people struggle to see these qualities unless they are, reflected back by outsiders. Even migration reflects this psychology. For many Nigerians, going abroad is not just about opportunity. It's also about status. Someone can be struggling overseas, working long hours, facing loneliness, living under enormous pressure, and yet people back home may still automatically assume they are successful simply because they are abroad. Because abroad itself has become a symbol of a symbol of prestige, a symbol of achievement, a symbol of validation. But none of all these things I'm saying means that foreign recognition is bad. Recognition is valuable. Learning from other culture is valuable. International collaboration is valuable. The problem begins when a people lose confidence in their own ability to recognize excellence. When they stop trusting their own eyes, their own judgment, their own standards. Because no society can build lasting confidence while constantly looking outside itself for permission to feel proud. Self-respect begins when people can identify value before outsiders confirm it. Sell yourself first. Self-respect, that's just what self-respect is all about. When they can celebrate excellence without waiting for foreign approval, that's self-respect. When they can appreciate what is theirs without needing someone else to certify it first. We don't need them to tell us that this one is, we have stamped it, this is certified, you can now value this. We know what we have, we know what we want to value by ourselves. We trust our instincts. So the deepest form of freedom is not political. It is psychological. If you are free, if you are defeated in the mind, then that's just the way it is. You are gone. Your own is finished. It is the ability to see your own words clearly, without needing the rest of the world to tell you it exists. You have to see your words clearly without needing the rest of the world to tell you about your words, to tell you what you have. Because people who cannot recognize their own value will always be vulnerable to those who define value for them. They can manipulate you if they can define your value. And perhaps the greatest challenge facing many post-colonial societies is not discovering their worth. It is learning to trust it. There is already worth, but you have to learn how to trust it. Peace and love.